Welcome to Gonzo Island, land of fantasy, fiction, and farce, where the weird and the wacky live in harmony and peace, with the occult, offbeat, and outlandish. Welcome to Gonzo Island. Be prepared for everything because anything can happen. Winston Churchill once called William Horace de Vere the most dangerous man in the world. De Vere was born in 1881 to a very well-to-do family in Ireland. He was also born with an insatiable desire to prank anyone and everyone around him. In fact, he basically dedicated his entire life to tricking others. He started his infamous career of hoaxing while still attending school. One day, during a long cross-country race, he decided to wait behind a house near the finish line dressed as one of the participants. As the first few racers passed by, he quickly jumped out and began running alongside. In a matter of seconds he had passed the others and easily won. On other occasions he would walk around London with a cow's teat protruding from his unzipped trousers. He would wait until he had a sizable crowd of onlookers before pulling out a pair of scissors and clipping the teat in two. Other times he would ride around in a taxi with a female mannequin and ask the driver to stop in front of a large gathering of people. Once stopped, pull the female mannequin out by its neck and start screaming at it and beating it before tossing the dummy into the street and asking the cab driver to continue down the road. His antics were not confined to anonymous crowds, however. He once slipped his pocket watch into the pocket of a friend unnoticed and then challenged him to a race to the end of the street. He even offered to give his friend a 10-foot head start since he was so confident of beating him. As the two ran past a nearby policeman, de Vere immediately pointed to his friend and shouted, "Stop, thief! Officer, arrest him, he stole my watch." On his honeymoon in Venice, Italy, he arose very early on the morning of April 1st and slipped out of town and back to the mainland, where he carefully collected some horse manure. He returned before dawn and placed his excrement in front of the Piazza di San Marco. He then spent the rest of the day sipping coffee and watching the astonished faces of the Venetians as they stared at poop and wondered where the horse was that caused it. His pranks also included indoor establishments. He once purchased 8 front-row seats to a popular theater play and gave them to 8 bald men. On each forehead he painted a large letter such that when they were seated they spelled out the word BOLLOCKS, bollocks, which was clearly visible to those in attendance above and behind them. He even gave a special dinner to people whose only point in common was the fact they had the word bottom in their name. His most famous prank, however, was the one he pulled off on February 7, 1910. He sent a telegram to the head of the British Royal Navy announcing that the Emperor of Abyssinia and his entourage were in London and requested a personal tour of the Navy's newest ship, the HMS Dreadnought. He then gathered 5 close friends, including the famous Virginia Woolf, applied black face paint to the heads, neck, and hands of 4 of them, and dressed them up in Abyssinian garb. The 5th friend became their interpreter. On their way to ship they stopped at a photographer's shop for several group pics that he later used to expose his own prank in the press. Upon arriving to the boat they were treated as visiting royalty and were given an extensive tour. As an added touch, the 4 in face paint pretended to speak in their native language while the 5th person, dressed in a tuxedo, pretended to translate for them. Much of the time they would point to a particular item on the dreadnought and exclaim, "Bunga, bunga." This has survived up to the present thanks to the Marx Brothers and former Italian President Berlusconi. Later in life he moved to France with his second wife and died in 1936 in Honfleur, France. I hope you enjoyed your tour of Gonzo Island. You can now return to the land of the normal.